What is meant by Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity? Let us see. Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. It is also known as the rule of maximum multiplicity. Or simply Hund's rule, Hund's rule. And this is about the pairing of electrons in a given subshell. Pairing of electrons in a given subshell. You take P, D, and F subshells. As you know, in the P subshell, there are three orbitals. And the three orbitals are 3px, py, pz. And they have dumbbell shape also. But for simplicity, let me show the orbitals by means of boxes like this. So these three boxes represent the three p orbitals. Similarly, you come to the d level. In the d level, there are 5 orbitals. In the p subshell, there are 5 orbitals. And let me show these 5 orbitals by means of boxes as before. 5 boxes. And these are dxy, dxz, dyz, dx square minus y square, and dz square. The orbitals are shown by means of boxes. And this is called the box type diagram of orbitals. This is not the shape. The orbitals are shown by means of boxes. Come to the F level. There are 7 orbitals. In the F level, there are 7 orbitals. And these 7 orbitals can be shown by means of 7 boxes like this. Okay. So each box represents an orbital. Each box represents an orbital. We know an orbital can accommodate a maximum of 2 electrons. The maximum capacity of an orbital, that is equal to 2. Maximum 2. If there are 2 electrons in an orbital, these 2 electrons are having opposite spin quantum numbers. Because the electrons in an orbital, the 2 electrons in an orbital will have the same set of principal quantum number n, azimuthal quantum number L, and a magnetic quantum number M or ML. The values will be the same for 2 electrons present in an orbital. And the spin quantum numbers will be different. Plus half and minus half. You know the Pauli's exclusion principle. No 2 electrons in an atom can have the same set of 4 quantum numbers. At least 1 quantum number should be different for the electrons. Maximum 3 quantum numbers can be the same. If 3 quantum numbers are the same, the 4th quantum number should be different according to Pauli's exclusion principle. 2 electrons, TWO, 2 electrons in an atom can never have the same values for all the 4 quantum numbers. Maximum 3 quantum numbers will be the same. At least 1 quantum number should be different. I repeat, If there are two electrons in an orbital, that is the maximum capacity, the principal quantum number, the azimuthal quantum number, and the magnetic quantum number, these three values are the same for the two electrons present in an orbital. But the spin quantum numbers will be different, plus half and minus half, that we have seen in the case of helium. Helium, atomic number 2, there are 2 electrons. Principal quantum number n is equal to 1. Azimuthal quantum number is equal to 0. Magnetic quantum number is equal to 0. But the spin quantum numbers will be either plus half or minus half for the 2 electrons. Okay. So if electrons are paired, if the 2 electrons are paired, their spin quantum numbers should be different. If the 2 electrons are paired electrons in an orbital. Now you come to Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. In the degenerate orbitals, what are degenerate orbitals? Do you remember? Degenerate orbitals, anybody knows? Degenerate orbital, Shivani, do you remember what are degenerate orbitals? Punya, can you say what are degenerate orbitals? Punya, do you hear me or not?
Yes, sir.
Come on. What are degenerate orbitals?
E, D, F, etc.
Pardon?
P, D, F orbitals.
Okay. See, the degenerate orbitals are the orbitals with the same energy. Same energy, they are degenerate orbitals. So, the orbitals in a subshell will be degenerate orbitals. Now, according to Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity, in the degenerate orbitals, that means orbitals in a subshell, electron pairing takes place. In the degenerate orbitals, electron pairing, that means 2 electrons in the orbital. Electron pairing occurs. Only after the available orbitals are singly occupied first. Available orbitals are singly occupied first. So there should be 1 electron each in the orbitals first. Only after that there will be pairing of electrons. So we can state Hund's rule in 2 ways. In the degenerate orbitals, that means orbitals with the same energy. In the degenerate orbitals, electron pairing takes place. Electron pairing occurs only after the available orbitals of the subshell are singly occupied first. Only after that there will be pairing of electrons. Okay. Or we can say the Hund's rule in another way. In the P, D, and F subshells, electron pairing takes place only after the available orbitals are singly occupied first. Only after that there is pairing of electrons. Pairing means two electrons in an orbital. Two electrons in an orbital. Let us take an example, then the point will be very clear to you. Let us take, say, carbon atom with atomic number 6. Atomic number 6. There are 6 electrons. And what will be the electronic configuration according to Obo principle? 6 electrons. Can you say 1s2? Come on, Achyut. Come on. Achyut. 1s2. Did you say anything?
2s.
2s2. Then 4 electrons. Then 2 more.
2p2.
Come on. 2p2. 2p2. That is the configuration. All right. Okay. In the oneness level, there is only one orbital. And there are 2 electrons. 2 electrons. That is the maximum capacity. And the 2 electrons will be having opposite spins. Plus half and minus half. We say the electrons are paired. In the orbital is paired. Electrons are paired. You come to the 2s. In the 2s, there is only one orbital and there are 2 electrons. Maximum 2 electrons can be there, and the 2 electrons are paired electrons, opposite spin. That is why I am showing one upward arrow and the other one is downward arrow. Upward arrow clockwise spin, downward arrow anti-clockwise spin. The electron spins are designated here, shown here. But now we come to the p level. P level. How many orbitals are there in the p level, Shivani?
3.
3 orbitals, correct. There are 3 orbitals. There are 3 orbitals in the p level. Px, Py, Pz. How many electrons are there in the p level? See, in
6.
carbon atom,
6.
there are 2 electrons.
2. 2.
2 electrons. 2 electrons. And how these 2 electrons are distributed in the orbitals? We have 2 electrons and 3 orbitals. We know an orbital can accommodate maximum of 2 electrons. Maximum of 2 electrons we can accommodate. So can we accommodate these 2 electrons in the same orbital, or the electrons are to be distributed in different orbitals? That is what Hunt says. And Hunt says that electron pairing occurs only after the available orbitals are singly occupied, half-filled first. So there are 2 electrons, there are 3 orbitals, and the electrons must be distributed like this. See, 1 electron each. There are 3 orbitals and 2 electrons. The 2 electrons must be distributed like this. 1 electron each. We know maximum capacity of an orbital is equal to 2. That I agree. But according to Hund's rule, the 2 electrons cannot be accommodated in the same orbital, but it must be distributed 1 electron each. So 1 electron in one orbital, for example px, second electron in the other orbital, for example py. Okay. Not only that, these electrons should be having the same spin, same direction. So either upward direction or downward direction. Both should be in the same direction. That is important. If you are drawing one upward direction and the other one downward direction, Krishna, you are not there. Do you hear me? Eh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you are drawing one upward and one downward, then it is wrong. Then it is wrong. You can draw both upward or you can draw both downward. Same spin. Okay. This is the way. Now you come to say nitrogen, atomic number 7. We know the configuration. 1s2, 2s2, then 2p3, 2p3, 2p3. In the 1s level, there is only one orbital and there are 2 electrons of opposite spin. In the 2s level, there is only one orbital, 2 electrons, and they are of a opposite spin like this. Now you come to the 2p level. There are 3 orbitals and these are degenerate orbitals. Orbitals of the same subshell, same energy. We have 3 orbitals and 3 electrons, 3 electrons. And these 3 electrons must be, say, distributed like this. 1 electron each in each orbital. Although an orbital can contain a maximum of 2 electrons, say all of a sudden the orbital cannot fill its maximum capacity, but there should be equal sharing here, equal sharing, 1 electron each. And the spin of the electrons must be in the same direction, either in the upward direction or all in the downward direction. And this is according to Hund's rule. So in the P subshell, similar is the case with the D electrons, F electrons, etc. Now you come to oxygen, atomic number 8. The configuration will be 1s2, 2s2, 2p4, 2p4. And Achyut, say the distribution of electrons. 1s, 1 orbital, 2 electrons of opposite spin. Then 2s, again 1 orbital, 2 electrons of opposite spin. Now you come to the 2p level. 2p level, there are 3 orbitals. 3 orbitals. All right? 3 orbitals and 4 electrons. And how these 4 electrons are distributed? You give 1 electron each first. 1, 1, 1. Okay? In the same direction. 1 electron each. So 3 electrons are over now. There is 1 more electron. And that can be used for pairing purpose. So you can show it here. It may be here or here or here. Whichever orbital doesn't matter. Because all the orbitals are having the same energy. They are degenerate orbitals. All right. Similarly, you go to, say, fluorine, atomic number 9. The configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p5, 2p5. Now can you see the distribution of electrons? 1s, 1 orbital, 2 electrons, and they are of opposite spin. They are paired electrons. Then 2s, 1 orbital, 2 electrons, and they are of opposite spin. Then 2p. There are 3 orbitals, 3 orbitals. They are having the same energy. They are degenerate orbitals and the same energy, and there are 5 electrons. And how these electrons are to be distributed? You give 1 electron each first. 1 electron. 3 electrons are over. Navi, you follow this or not? Navi, okay. There is there are 5 electrons. So you are giving 1 electron each first. And 2 more electrons are left. And they can be used for pairing like this. Okay. This is the way the electrons are to be distributed, and this is according to Hund's rule. So in the P, D, and F, because these levels are having more number of orbitals. In the S, there is only one orbital. So there is no problem of pairing. But in the P level, there are 3 orbitals. And D level, there are 5 orbitals. F level, there are 7 orbitals. And suppose there are more than 1 electron, then the problem arises. More than one, if there is only 1 electron, there is no problem. But if there are 2 or more electrons, how these electrons are distributed? First, you have to give 1 electron each. And if excess electron is there, that can be utilized for pairing purpose. All right? And that is according to Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. When you show electrons of the same spin, the arrows put must be either in the upward direction or in the downward direction. Say what I am saying this. You say if somebody is writing the configuration, say like this. Say suppose here there is 1 electron, here there is 1 electron. Say there is 1 electron. Somebody is writing like this. Okay, in each orbital there is 1 electron each. That is right. But the problem is this. Here 1 electron is having opposite spin. Opposite spin. And if electrons are having opposite spin, there is a tendency for pairing. So this is a wrong configuration. We cannot show like this. Follow what I say? This is the thing. The electron should be having the same spin or a parallel spin. We call it as parallel spin, same spin or a parallel spin. So in a subshell, a PDF, in a subshell or a PDF subshells, electron pairing occurs only after the available orbitals are singly occupied. Singly occupied means each orbital is half filled. Maximum capacity of an orbital is equal to 2. If there is 1 electron, that is a half filled. The orbital is a half filled. Or in a degenerate orbitals, electron pairing occurs only after the available orbitals are singly occupied first. Only after that, there is electron pairing. And that is about the Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. And it finishes the chapter. Some questions. Say, I shall give you some questions based on the quantum numbers. 1 mark questions. That all I shall send to you afterwards, later. I will send the probable questions. Some exercise part. I will send to you within 2-3 days. I will send to you. Okay. Now let me proceed to the next chapter. Okay. No problem. Aditya, what do you say? Can we pass on to the next chapter? Okay. So
Yes,
let us
sir.
pass on to the next chapter. The 3rd chapter. And that is a periodic classification of elements. Very simple. Periodic classification. Periodic classification. This is very simple. Why? Because all the things you have already studied in the 10th standard. Periodic classification of elements. That is chapter number 3, module number 3, periodic classification of elements. Okay. Let us see the important points. The preliminary topics I am not going to take. You know, in the development of the classification of elements, the first attempt, successful attempt was due to Dobbe-Reiner. Remember, in the 10th standard you studied Dobbe-Reiner's triads. Do you remember that? Dobbe-Reiner's triads. Triads. You know what are the specialities of the triads? If elements are grouped into 3 groups of 3 elements, can see that the atomic mass of the middle element is an average value of the atomic masses of the other 2 mass of sodium, atomic mass of sodium is an average value of the atomic masses of the other two elements, the one and first and third element. Say lithium atomic mass is equal to 7, sodium atomic mass 23, and potassium atomic mass is equal to 19. Sorry, not a 19, it's a 39. It is a 39. 39. 19 is the atomic number. 39. Now you find out the average mass of lithium and potassium atomic masses. So 7 plus 39 by 2, you take the average mass, and that is found to be 23. So if elements are grouped into 3, there are certain groups of elements in such a way that the atomic mass of the middle element is an average mass of the atomic masses of the other two elements. And these elements have similar properties. And such groups are called Doberenes triads. The next development, it was due to Newland's. The Newland's law of octaves. The Newland's law of octaves. Do you remember that in the 10th standard? If elements are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic masses, the 8th element shows repetition in properties or similarity in properties of the first one. So, octavism, the law of octavism, if the elements are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic masses, the 8th element shows similarity in properties of the first element. And that is the law of octavism, Newland's law of octavism. Next, very, very important development was due to Mendeleev, and it is called the Mendeleev's periodic table. Mendeleev's periodic table, that also you have studied. In the Mendeleev's periodic table, there are 8 vertical columns known as groups and 7 horizontal rows known as periods. And this much part I'm not taking in detail. I'm going to the next development, and that is the long form of periodic table or the modern periodic table. The modern periodic table, that also you studied. Modern periodic table, or it is also known as long form periodic table. Say I'm going to take only this one, the long form periodic table or the modern periodic table. The modern periodic table or a long form periodic table is based on the modern periodic law. Modern periodic law. Do you remember? You studied that? The modern periodic law. What is modern periodic law? Do you remember? Modern periodic law. Okay. According to this, the properties of elements, both physical and chemical properties of elements are periodic functions of elements are periodic functions of their atomic numbers. Periodic functions of their atomic numbers. The physical and chemical properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic numbers. So the basis for modern periodic table or the long form periodic table, it is also known as the Bohr periodic table, B-O-H-R, Bohr periodic table. The basis is atomic number. You know, in the Mendeleev's periodic table, the basis for the classification chosen by Mendeleev was atomic mass. Mendeleev arranged the elements in the increasing order of their atomic masses. Atomic masses. So, the basic property, the fundamental property of an element was considered as atomic mass by Mendeleev. Mendeleev considered atomic mass as the fundamental property of an element. But in the modern periodic table, the long form periodic table, that is also known to you, you know, you have already studied that. It is there in your text. Okay, the basis is atomic number. So here we are going to arrange the elements in the increasing atomic numbers. So the basis for modern periodic table is atomic number. And according to the modern periodic law, properties of elements, physical and chemical properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic numbers. Atomic number is taken as the fundamental property of an element. And it was proved by Henry Moseley, that also you have studied in the 10th standard. Henry Moseley, he proved that atomic number is the fundamental property, that is the fundamental property of an element, not atomic mass. He was studying the X-ray spectrum of elements, and he plotted the square root of frequency of the radiation, X-ray radiation, and atomic number. He got a straight line, and he concluded that atomic number is the fundamental property of an element, not the atomic mass. And so, based on the study of Moseley, X-ray study of Moseley, the modern periodic law was developed. So the basis taken for the modern periodic table is the atomic numbers of elements. All right. And do you know the properties of the long form periodic table? Do you remember? In the long form periodic table, there are 18 vertical columns. Vertical columns. You studied this in the 10th standard. There are 18 vertical columns, and these vertical columns are known as groups. 18 groups, 18 vertical columns known as 18 groups. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 18. Say 1 to 18, 1 to 18. Group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, etc. up to group 18. You have studied this in the 10th standard. So 18 vertical columns known as 18 groups. Okay. And what about to the horizontal arrangement? There are 7 horizontal rows, and the rows are known as periods. So there are 7 periods. Horizontally, there are 7 periods. 1 to 7 periods. Period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 periods. So there are 18 vertical columns known as 18 groups, and 7 horizontal rows known as the 7 periods. Okay, more details we can see the next day. Now it is time, so let me stop now. Okay. By that time, I shall send you the notes. Okay, meet again.